I hope my screen is visible. Visible? So I'll take you through about the brand ColorJet. So we have started our operation in 1995. So it's almost close to 27 years we are into this industry. As of now, we have almost 50 models across textile and inkjet applications. Apart from this, we have also, almost close to 15 and 20 variety of inks. As far as our, manufacturing capacity is concerned, we are producing. We have a capacity of 1,200 unit per year. Recently, we have bought, in fact, one more plant in Noida itself. I hope सबको clear है.
Yes.
सबको समझ में आ रहा है ना?
Yes.
Language is important. So we have a 350 strong team who are rigorously working on the ColorJet brand. हमारा demo center भी है, दो demo center है. One is in India, which is in Noida itself, and the second one is in Dubai. We have all the required certifications. And as far as installation is concerned, we have almost 4,000 machines installed across India and across the globe in different parts of the country. हमारा एक R&D facility भी है, in-house R&D facility, जहां हम different technology पे काम करते हैं, which enable our machines to produce good quality and production from our machines, which is recognized by government of India. These are the range of our products, which starts from direct to fabric to sublimations, generally known as VastraJet K2, Sublix Plus, VastraJet, then FabJet Metro, AuraJet DE, and FabJet Grand. As far as the brand preference is concerned, we are the top preference amongst all the textile industry verticals. That includes your big textile mills, export houses, fashion designers, and all the furnishing homes. As far as brand is concerned, the big brands like John Player, ITC, the fashion designer like Camila, Anita Dongre, all these brands are being printed on our machine itself. These are the required certification which we have. And so basically we are not just manufacturing and selling the machine, we are providing our customers and clients the complete printing solutions. Here I'll request Samath if you can explain this printing solution.
Yes, hi, can everyone hear me? Because I think Abhijit or Amrinder, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, Samath.
No, I can hear you, but I'm not too sure if Mr. Pandey or Luca or anyone else can hear me or not.
Yes.
No, you are audible.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Abhijit. First of all, I would like to thank everyone here who has given this opportunity today. I thanks Inedit team to be here, a part of this webinar, and all the participants who have joined from various parts of India. So as somebody just mentioned in the comment section that please, if we know about the designation and who's speaking. So I'll just introduce our team here. So it was Abhijit who was discussing about the company. He is our marketing manager. We have Mr. Amrinder Saha with us, who is looking into the product optimization. We have, these are the people from ColorJet team, Mr. Pandey, who looks into India sales, Rakesh and Bhram Singh, who looks into the service and post-sale support of ColorJet machine. We also have Mr. Gerard, Luca, and Inedit team members who will be explaining about the Inedit software, Neo Stamper, which is one of the most optimized software for textile printing. So this is about us. Anybody else would like to add if I have missed anyone?
Yeah, you have missed me, Samarth.
Okay, Mr. Jitendra Pal Singh is also here because on my screen I could only see 6 participants. I probably have to scroll down the whole list here. So we have Mr. Jitendra Pal Singh also, who's the Vice President Textile Business for ColorJet. Anybody else from ColorJet team who's here or Inedit team? Okay, so thanks Luca, Alba and Gerard for sparing this time for our Indian customers and Indian partners who are operating these machines on Inedit software. So thank you once again. सभी को बहुत-बहुत शुक्रिया अपना टाइम निकालने के लिए आज की इस वेबिनार के लिए. So we'll quickly run through some small slides, and after that Gerard will be taking you over for all the Neo Stampa side. Okay, we also have Mohsin Latif from ColorJet Pakistan team, and we also have Usman. Along with this, we have Jairaj, Sushil Patel, and other team members also here. So now coming back to this printing solutions. So this is a normal process of pigment and reactive printing. I think this is everybody must be knowing about it, that with pigment we don't need to steam and wash, whereas with reactive we have to steam and wash, and thus the water requirement is very different in pigment versus reactive. Abhijit, can you just take down to the next slide? So this is how basically a complete solution looks like. आप सभी ने सब कुछ एक्सपीरियंस ऑलरेडी कर ही रखा है, तो इसलिए आई विल नॉट टेक मच टाइम हियर. नेक्स्ट स्लाइड अभिजीत. So these are few of the new additions about a metro machine which can print up to 10,000 square meters. This is a 32 head Kyocera based machine, which is the latest addition in ColorJet portfolio. Next slide, Abhijit. So this is how the new machine looks like. Applications we can run through. We can just run through the presentation because I think it's better that we start with the Inedit training here. The K2 machine, which is with 32 Konica Minolta print head, which can give a good production of 5,000 meters for the daily requirements. And then we have Subli Express now, which is a sublimation machine. This sublimation wali machine hai jo around 8,000 से 9,000 मीटर एक दिन में print करता है. So just for the information, Gerard and Luca, I have been using our Hindi language also for the people to understand. What else? So this is sublimation machine, a latest new launch here, which is with Kyocera heads again. So all this digital printing is helping us to achieve the sustainable goals, and we have been ColorJet has been making these machines to make sure that the countrywide we achieve these sustainable goals. So with digital printing, as we know that rotary and digital is really going hand in hand, and digital is growing at a very good pace, especially because of the lower water consumption, lower energy consumption, faster turnaround time, lower inventories. So these are the basic benefits here. Abhijit, we can run down here. I think it will otherwise go for a very long time. Some of the global initiatives is that we worked for New York Fashion Week also, where we printed these garments with sustainable printing, waterless printing. Let's go ahead. So I think Abhijit just run it over, and this is India Fashion Week in London.
This was about London Fashion Week, where we have printed this stuff for our fashion designers. And they have we are the in fact platinum sponsor of ITMA Barcelona. These are the few pictures from those shows, and our worldwide presence. We have participated almost across the globe in terms of exhibitions. And this is our channel partners, which are available across Indonesia, Sri Lanka, Greece, Uzbekistan, Mexico, Miami, Colombia, Brazil, almost everywhere. And these are the few good words from our clients about our brand ColorJet. As far as market share is concerned, in India, we are having a 33% market share in terms of inkjet printing, as per IDC, which is a research agency. That's all from our side.
So now I would like to welcome Mr. Gerard, who has been here with us from Spain. So he has been working on these RIP softwares, I think for a very, very long time, and have worked on the biggest of all mills worldwide, where he has set up the process of converting the design, using RIP softwares, have educated hundreds and hundreds of operators and machine users worldwide. And thank you, Gerard, for sparing this time, and over to you.
Thanks a lot for this good introduction. Hello, everyone, all attendees. Thanks a lot for your time today. If it's fine, I will just proceed with the presentation. Okay, let me try to share my screen and I will start straightforward. I hope that all of you can see the presentation and can hear me well. Perfect. Just before starting, I would like to remind to everyone that here in this meeting, you have a Q&A button where everyone can click and can input their questions. Okay. During the presentation, if you find anything, you can just write your questions there. And once we finish, we will try to answer to all of them. We will have some time to answer all the questions that we will find there. Okay. So just as a reminder, you can use the Q&A button. Well, today's presentation, we will be talking about the software that Inedit is making for the digital printing. The main topic will be talking about our RIP Neostampa. Okay. I am Gerard Book. At the moment, I'm working in Inedit in the sales department, but I've been through a long time in the customer care. As the good introduction mentioned, I've been visiting, making installations, conversions to our software, and consulting since, well, 2014, many years already in Inedit. This is the summary of what we'll be talking today. I would like to start with an introduction of who Inedit is. It will be a short introduction, what we do. Okay, and later on we will explain a little bit, and we will deep even more to what Neostampa, what are the possibilities that we have, also how it can interact with other softwares like Photoshop, for example, and even we will start or make an introduction to how we can make a calibration and how we can ensure that our printers print the colors that we are expecting, because finally Neostampa, the purpose of a RIP software is exactly that one. Later also I will make a short introduction to the Neostampa usage, okay, to the menu and some new things that we can do nowadays with our new version, which is Neostampa Delta. And as I mentioned also, finally, we will have some time to answer your questions between me and all the ColorJet team. Even though that we're going to talk, or as I said, the main topic will be Neostampa, Inedit Software was a company born to provide software for any kind of solution for the digital printing industry. So I would like to make an introduction to also some other software that we have that complete the full workflow, that this is what we do, not only on the printing, but we also have some tools, or we developed some tools which are meant to help during design, storage, and finally printing with the RIP Neostampa. So usually what we think, or the view that we have for any company, any company which works on the digital industry, is that what they have or what they need. Mostly we can have a design station where all the designers make the creates, okay, uses their creativity to make the designs. And there are some needs in that step also that we can fulfill with our plugins Textile, which I will explain shortly right now. I will just have 5 minutes from your time to make an introduction to all we have. Also, there are a part of sales, which also they have some needs, like being able to show to the customers, to share the designs and show how can they look into how their designs will look into the final stage of the printing. And also we have the print station at the end, which it's the production, and we need to print the designs that has been produced and has been sold. All of that can be united as in a server or cloud-based software that we also have, which is called Neocatalog. To make an introduction, as I said, in the sales station, what do they need? They need to access to all the designs and galleries, apply the designs into resting environments so we can see how the designs will look exactly once they are in the final stage. They should be able to share the designs, also to change the designs according to the client's taste, so we can make different colors out from the design. And finally, find all the general information and check, have an order of the designs with naming, make searches. And we have a powerful tool for that, which is called Neocatalog. As you can see, first of all, it's a storage for all your designs where you can apply filters, search by keywords like flowers. So everything will be in complete order in your server, in your cloud-based server. Also, it's possible here to make different colorways. So change them on the fly, be at the customer site, change colors, and show the same design in different colors to the customer to combine them, and also finally see them in real environments. All of that doing in a cloud environment. On the design side, for the help that we have for the designers, first of all, we have some plugins which are called Textile. They are plugins for Adobe Photoshop. We understand that Photoshop is the main platform for designing, and we created that tools to help or to improve the experience in Photoshop for the textile users. We have functions for step and repeat to make repeat for long productions, for color separation, either for traditional or for digital, creating new colorways, and also simulate the results in real environments. It helps you to standardize the design creation process so everyone can do exactly the same, and we can standardize all the process in a company. Also, it allows to work with profiles so we can communicate the colors properly without losing accuracy during the process of designing to printing. Making the design creation process faster, so we help to make all of that step and repeat color separation much faster than what we are used to. And we can prepare the designs in a very intuitive way and make it easier, as I said, to move all of that to the production. This is a small view of what we can do inside Photoshop, like the step and repeat in this side here, color separation with different plugins, new colorways, and apply them in real simulations to make samples and send them to the customers. I just wanted to, as I mentioned, to explain a little bit what we have, okay? Because in Edit, it's not only Neostampa, but we really have an environment for your full company, okay? To help since design up to when we print. But now, as I said, let's focus to the main topic today, which is Neostampa. Finally, we started from design, storage, and now we're going to printing, which is the important also. So let's put a little bit how Neostampa works and which are the main features that we have in Neostampa. Also, we will see a little bit the evolution of Neostampa within years. Neostampa has been created and was a software which was more specialized, is a RIP specialized for textiles, okay? And all that we have are good tools to help on the textile market. In Neostampa Delta, what we will find, first of all, this could be one of the big differences with any other software also, is that we are based on Rgb profiles. We will get a little bit deeper later on, okay? I will explain why, but the main purpose is that Rgb profiles speak exactly the same language that we have on screen. This means that we can see on screen the colors that we will have in the result. So we can see the real colors that we will have when we print them, okay? Neostampa also have a calibration wizard which we will also be talking today, okay? To make easy profiles and specific profiles. Why is it important to have a specific profile? This allows us, for everyone in the digital industry knows that different inks, different surface, different fabrics, different papers in sublimation can give or can result in different colors at result. Okay, making specific profiles ensures that for any fabric, for any printer, ink, everything, we can have exactly the same results with a good calibration behind it. We can calibrate printers up to 16 inks with RGB profiles, means that even if our machine is 4 colors, 6 colors, 8 colors, whatever, the process is exactly the same, and Neostampa will treat automatically all of that colors. So even if we have a machine with orange, red, blue lights, everything, all the process will be automatic. We only need to open a file, open a design in Neostampa and print. And Neostampa will take care of everything else and decide which are the inks that will be used to print that exact color that we are looking for. Also, this is new from Neostampa Delta. We have a new PDF engine that helps a lot. We know that PDF is a standard that it's moving every day more and more into the textile market. It started more maybe for the sportswear market and flags and all of that that are more similar to soft signage, and it entered very good with that market, but also it's expanding a lot into any kind of textile market for the flexibility that PDF files gives. And Neostampa Delta includes a new PDF engine from Global Graphics, which is outstanding and gives the best results when rasterizing PDF files. Also, we have the Queue Manager, completely new, that allows to automate the workflow using, so we can have, for example, if you have a company based on web printing, so web to print, I mean, we can automatize all this directly from web to our printing systems. And also it can be linked to ERP systems to also automate workflows. Neostampa also includes a strong black formula, which is very interesting for any kind of market, but mostly for the inkjet. We know that when we work with direct printing to fabric, we need with reactive acids or disperse inks or pigment inks, we need sometimes to give the possibility to make a very good black, and Neostampa allows to make a mix of different inks, not only black, and decide exactly the amount of the inks that we need to find the best black possible. We will see this during the Calibration Wizard that we will talk a little bit later, and we will see exactly how we can do this. We also have integrated color libraries. This is also for fluorescent inks, okay? We have a color library for fluorescence that can be installed in Illustrator, for example, and we just need to select the colors, the fluorescent colors, which we can print also the chart. We only need to select the colors into Illustrator, and Neostampa will automatically print them without any intervention at the last stage. So during design, they can select the fluorescent inks, and Neostampa will print them without doing anything. Also with Neostampa, this is also a consequence of the RGB profiles, okay? It's possible to match colors in different printers. As I mentioned, RGB profiles are exactly the same, even if we have 4, 6, 8 inks, if we have different papers. Making a good calibration for each one of the substrates machines allows us to have exactly the same results, even into different printers. Also, we have a cost control center, which is completely new in Neostampa Delta, where we can see the costing of our productions, have everything completely under control, and see also a historic of all that we have printed and the cost in ink and also in money of what we're exactly doing. And finally, we also in Neostampa Delta added, we have a small plugin in Photoshop, which can be linked directly to Neostampa. So we can send directly to print from Photoshop to Neostampa. All of this, some of this already existed in Neostampa, but some of this that I mentioned are completely new in Neostampa Delta. So to see a little bit how within years we made this Neostampa evolution from the Neostampa version 8 to 9 and Delta. These are lots of the improvements that we've been doing. Of course, we have every day also more available machines in our list, but this year in Neostampa Delta, what you can see is that most important is that we enlarge a lot the applications. This is also thanks to the new PDF engine that I mentioned. So we could enter completely the market of sportswear, DTG, film, wallpaper, flooring, all of that. It's completely new in Neostampa Delta, and we can give solution to many other markets that exist in the textile and also a little bit out from the textile. We also have some new tools to create new colorways on the fly. We will see all of that also later on. It's meant for multi-channel files for all the people that comes from traditional printing that has different designs from there, which are probably multi-channel already separated by colors, and that can be used now in digital also, with the possibility of creating colorways directly in Neostampa. We will also see this at the end of the presentation. Sorry. So we've been also I mentioned a little bit what are the advantages of working with RGB, and one of them was that we can use them and we can see on screen how to we can see on screen the results of what we will print. How we can do that? I will explain a little bit how we can use them in Photoshop. This should be also, we can apply this also to different to different softwares for designing, not only Photoshop, okay? Any software that allows to work with profiles, with RGB profiles, should be available to do so, but I will focus in Photoshop. As I mentioned, I think that it's the main platform for designing, and I will focus on how to do this in Photoshop, and we will see the differences right now. So talking about RGB profiles, they are device independent. This means that RGB profiles are used for monitors, printers, scans, any kind of devices, okay? Not like CMYK, which is only meant for printers, okay? And it's the same calibration process, as I said, independent of the amount of inks. When we work in, or we are used to work in CMYK, nowadays, most of the digital machines has more than 4 inks. So for reactive, almost all the machines in the market uses 8 inks minimum, and working in CMYK starts to not make much sense. In RGB, we have exactly the same process, independent of the amount of inks that we have in our printer. Also, working in RGB ensures that we have only one black, which is the RGB 000. If we put this black or this value into our designs, we will make sure that we have the black that we need. If we would be working in CMYK, what happens that we have many different values for a black, for example, black 100 and all the CMY at 0, or with different values. This would give different results and not the exact black that we are searching for. Also, working in RGB into Neostampa, into the printing site, allows us to speak the same language as our monitor. Monitors and all the devices like that works in RGB. Doing the same in Neostampa allows us to speak the same language and avoid many conversions during all this process. And finally, it's possible to install these profiles, RGB profiles, in our, as I said, in our design station, in Photoshop, for example, in our design software, and see the colors of the printer in there. How can we do that? Here you have a small example, okay? There are two ways to see the profiles in Photoshop, okay? The first of them is to convert the image into our printing profile. The only thing that we need is to take the profile from Neostampa and install it into our design computer. It's quite easy. Once we have it, we will see in Photoshop the profile of our machine in the list of profiles. What we can do, first of all, it's possible to convert to profile. What will this do? So usually Photoshop by default works with monitor profiles like sRGB or Adobe RGB. These profiles are okay to work in our screen, but these profiles are huge. So this means that there are lots of colors which can be visible in our screen, but of course, it's not possible to reproduce in a digital printer. That's why it's interesting to take the colors from our digital printer and move them into our screen so we can see them. So when we convert to profile, what we do is move from profile A, sRGB or Adobe RGB, to profile B, which is our printer profile. We can do it, as you can see in Photoshop, going to Edit, Convert to Profile, and selecting these options. We just need to select our profile, and in case of Neostampa, okay, the intent is Perceptual because this is the default intent that Neostampa works. That's all. We only need to do so. And once we finish, we will see that the profile is embedded to the document. It's true that when we convert to profile, it changes the color of the document. So we are really changing the colors of the image from the one that we had before to our printer colors, and we change it. We are modifying the document, okay? This has to be in mind. But this allows us to use the color palette of our device into Photoshop. You will see an example right now. So, here we have, for example, what the conversion makes. See that I selected a color, okay? We can see it in our color palette. See that the color palette that we have here, it's the one from the monitor with a huge amount of colors, and we have an RGB value. At this moment, the image is in the, we can see it below, in the sRGB profile, which is a generic one. So once we make the conversion, what we will be able to see? We will see that, first of all, I hope that you can see a difference. We see a difference in the image. So now the image is with the device colors. Some of them went a little bit lower, some of them maintained because the machine is able to reproduce them. But also see, and also an important part is that, first of all, here we can see that we changed the profile to our printer profile, and also the color palette changed to the colors of the machine. This will make sure that any color that we select in the color palette will be one that the machine is able to reproduce. So this is a very nice idea, and we can see, as I said, the colors on screen, but it's true that we can have several machines and several printing profiles. So if we don't know in which machine is going to be printed later on, maybe making this modification, because as I said, it embeds the profile to the document, so it changes really the colors of the document. We have a second option inside Photoshop, which is called Proofing Profile. Proofing Profile will not switch from profile A to B. So what will happen that the profile will not be embedded to the document, okay? It's true that also the color palette will not be available, but we can see the changes on screen. So we really will be seeing the colors at the screen, okay? We will see how it changes, but it's not going to change, make any modification in the document. So the document will remain exactly as it was, but we are able to see the colors on screen. How we can do that? In Photoshop, we have in View, the option Proof Setup. And as you can see, it's quite similar. We only need to select the profile that we want to simulate and click on OK. And what we will see when we use the proofing, we will see that the document is in sRGB. Okay, this is the original color palette, and these are the original colors. Once we change to proof, see, we will see the difference on screen, the colors that we are going to print, but you can notice that the document profile didn't change at all, and the color palette didn't change at all too. So this is a good solution just to see on screen the colors that we will have later on. All of that is possible thanks to the RGB profiles that we are using in Neostampa. Let's talk, hope it was clear, okay? Whatever the question, I will move forward, as I said, and let's see at the end if you have, we will try to answer because I see some questions, but I will try to answer all of them at the end of the presentation. So let's talk about some advantages. Of course, all of this webinar, it already talks about the advantages of Neostampa, but I wanted to point 2 or 3 advantages that we have in Neostampa that maybe are not available in other RIPs, okay? For example, the automatic management of 4, 6, 8 things, which I already spoke, thanks to the RGB profiles, but I wanted to mention that this also includes the fluorescent inks. On your right, you can see an example of a printed image with normal CMYK and adding the fluorescent inks automatically in Neostampa. It's possible to make a profile that mixes all the colors together and give these results. This is an image with fluorescent that we can see under a UV light. Okay, just to so we can see the exact difference of between using or not using fluorescent inks in the same image. Okay, this is quite nice, and this also opens a lot of different markets. Usually the fluorescent inks are only thought, for example, for the sportswear market, where we can or we need to select manually the area where the fluorescent ink will be applied. But Neostampa gives us this opportunity to print any kind of photographic image that we don't need to make any modification, and Neostampa will automatically decide in which areas the fluorescent can be useful. This, for example, opens kind of markets of using fluorescent inks for fashion, for example, because we can take all the designs that we had for fashion and try how they will look with fluorescent inks. Also, even if we have the possibility for fluorescent in to merge all of them into our profile, of course, we have the option to work with spot colors, and not only for fluorescent, but also for multi-channel files and PDF spot colors. I will make an example later on, but it's possible to make color substitution directly to multi-channels or PDF spot colors using fluorescent inks or any kind of ink, any kind of color substitution. And I would also like to mention the workflow automation. This is something that I already explained a little bit before, but Neostampa also have an option, which is a queue called Print Server. Print Server is a queue which is able to be connected, I think that I mentioned before, to ERP systems, also with Photoshop. It can be connected to applications outside from Neostampa. Also, it's possible to automate because it has an API, so it can be programmed to make a connection with any kind of like web to print, ERPs, whatever. It's possible also to work with XML, okay, so with the API, with XML files to make automation, or also the possibility to work with hot folders. And now we already talked a lot about Neostampa, how it works, and I mentioned a lot the possibility of creating RGB profiles, making a calibration of the printer, and the importance of making a calibration. because it allows or ensures that the colors that we are expecting during the design looks exactly the same that we need when we print them. And all of that is ensured by the process of calibration. I will make a short introduction to the Calibration Wizard and all the steps that we need to take to make a good calibration. The Calibration Wizard, it's split into 3 main steps, okay? At the first step, we will set the ink usage, okay? In the ink usage, first of all, we will avoid excess of ink, okay? We have 3 steps into the ink usage, which is the ink limit to avoid excess of ink. You know that if we use a huge amount of ink, that sometimes the printer can possibly put that amount of ink, but in some fabric, this amount of ink can create bleeding, okay? So we can control it and make sure that we never have bleeding or low quality in our final printed files. We can also control each individually. We will see how we do it. This is very nice to avoid not excess of ink, but using more ink than the necessary. And this can also avoid an excess costing or usage of the ink. And finally, we have the linearization, which allows us to make perfect gradients, perfect transitions within the gradient of each one of the inks. The first step, which is called ink limit, will allow us to print this chart, okay, where we can see the amount of ink from 0 to 300. 300, it's a mix of a lot of ink. What we can see is that in some cases, we will see an excess of ink in this area, in the lower area. So what we will do is to avoid all of that problems and cut exactly at the point where the quality is perfect. Once we make this cut, for sure, in a future, Neostampa will never put more ink than the value that we set. This means that we will avoid any kind of bleeding or problem or low quality in a future, and the quality will be perfect in any future printings. Second step, we will print this chart, which is the linearization. It will print each one of the inks in a transition, in a gradient from 0 to the maximum of it. And what we can see in the graph that we have on the right, it's how the evolution or how the intensity is increasing for each one of the inks. See that we can keep them at the maximum, but we could even decide to cut them and know exactly how much of the intensity we are losing, but we can also try to avoid using 10, 20, or 30% of the ink, so we can reduce really the costs. We can do that, of course, and we can avoid using an excess of ink, so we can reduce the costs and know exactly how much of the intensity we can lose or we can maintain, both of them. This process of the graph is automatic. We only need to use our measurement device and measure each one of the lines. Okay, it's quite easy. It's completely automatic. And next one, we have the relinearization. This is completely new from Neostampa Delta. Okay, and it allows us to, once we finish the linearization, which is automatic, we will do it again. It's just a process to make sure that our linearization is completely perfect. Even it doesn't look like it's a very, very important step of the process to know exactly the percentage of ink that we are using and intensity. So it's a very important process, so important that we decided to add a second step of linearization to make sure that our gradients are completely perfect. As you can see, for example, in this completely straight line. In here, we can see that the linearization was quite good and that we have a perfect gradient in each one of the colors. Okay, as I said, this is something new that we included in Neostampa Delta Calibration Wizard. This is the second main step. So we already moved from the ink usage. As I said, the first main step of the calibration is how we set or how we use the inks of the printer. And the second one, main step, is the black generation. We have different methods to be used, okay? So it's possible to use only the black ink or make a mix of different, of all the colors to have a good black. Neostampa gives you the possibility to print a chart like this with a lot of blacks, with a lot of combinations of inks, and choose the one that you like the most. Once you choose it, this will be your black forever without, finally, it's the one that you decided, the one that you see that it's the best black possible for that machine. And once we select exactly the black that we want, Neostampa will be using always this black. As I mentioned before, with an RGB file, if we put the value 000 in RGB in our design, we will have exactly the black that we selected always, okay? This is good news because we can decide by ourselves exactly which kind of black we want. Of course, when we make mixing of different inks to create the black, not only black, but also adding a little bit of cyan, magenta, and yellow, we can also change or variate a little bit the tonality of the black to what we like. If we want it a little bit bluish or a little bit reddish or whatever that we like, we just need to select the black from the chart, and we will have exactly the black that we wanted forever. And finally, the last step, the last big step for from the Calibration Wizard, it's the ICC profiling. This will create for us the RGB profile that I've been mentioning until now. It's quite easy, and also it's completely automatic. Okay, we only need to print a chart, which is exactly the same, even if we have 4 inks, 6 or 8 inks. When we work with multi-channel profiles, it really grows the chart exponentially depending on the amount of inks that our machine has. But in the case of RGB profiles, it's always exactly the same standard chart, even if we have any amount of inks in the printer. Neostampa includes the profiling engine, so it's included with the Calibration Wizard, and you only need to measure the chart, print the chart, measure it, and later on we have many tools to analyze the profile. Once it's done, we only need to measure it, it creates it automatically, and we can analyze the profile. We can see it in 3 dimensions, like in this image that we have here, and we can see how homogeneous or how big is our profile, and we can even here compare it with other profiles from other printers or with our monitor profiles to see the real difference between the gamut or the amount of colors that our printer is able to print in comparison to other printers or any other device. All of that, we can do this from the Calibration Wizard. And finally, I would like to make a usage introduction to Neostampa. We've talked about, I know that maybe in Neostampa there are lots of tools, okay? I didn't want to go too much deep too much deep to what we have in Neostampa, because it's extensive. There are lots of tools, but I would like to put focus in some of the tools that I mentioned that it's possible to use in Neostampa before, okay, that also are new for Neostampa Delta that maybe not all of you already know, okay, and that I would like to for you to know exactly. Of course, if you have any questions of the usage of Neostampa, always the ColorJet and the Inedit team are behind, so we can help you. But I would like to put focus in some main tools that we have and that I think that they are important also in Neostampa. The first of all, it's the color modes that we have. when we open a new file in Neostampa, okay, we open a new document, we always find, like in here, we are opening a new document and we have different document types, okay? And there's a difference between default or color mode and rapport, okay? I would like to put the importance here because it's quite important to know when to use one or when to use the other. Color mode or default mode, it's meant to create samples, create single repeats, or making sampling, as I said. So we have the layout where we can open multiple files, not only one, but we can open 2, 3, 4 files. We can resize them, add information, text in each one of the files. We can do all of that. We also can crop, repeat a little bit, make resize, as I said. We also have nesting tools to, once we open all of them, to make a smart nesting into the layout and make all of this sampling that sometimes is needed, okay? This is why the color mode is intended. So once we open all of them, we can just create the layout that we want here in the view of Neostampa and send it to print easily. I wanted also to mention, now that we are here, that in this spot in Neostampa, when we see it, one of the most important things before printing is to make sure that we selected the correct printer and selected the correct profile. Sometimes we might have more than one profile, which is this list here, okay? It's a drop-down list where we will find all the different profiles that we have available for that machine. And sometimes we might have profiles for example, in reactive for cotton, viscon, and different medias, okay? It's very important because every profile can give different results, okay? So it's important to always select the profile that we want to use or that we are going to use in the media that we have installed in the printer. Finally, as you know, we have here the job queue, okay? Every time that we send something to print, it will come to the job queue here, down here, and we will see the progress of printing until it finishes, and we will know that it's already sent to the printer. Also, on the I will take my time also to explain a little bit the Neostampa buttons that we have here, okay? We have the open and manage the images here in this side, in the left side. Hope that you are seeing my pointer, okay? I hope that it's possible. So we can see this on the left side. We have options to cut, copy, and paste. And here we have the crop options, tiling options, and mosaic to make repeats of the same image. Finally, we also have an option to create color charts that I will explain right now, okay? And a color picker to select a color and make color substitutions that I will also explain now in the next slides. Also, we have the possibility to center the images here, to change the sizes, to resize manually, okay, to change the position, to make the mirroring for sublimation, and finally we have the buttons to access directly our control center to see the ink consumption of each one of the which is here, sorry, the control center, which allows us to go to our window and check the consumption of everything. To move forward, we have also a wrapper mode. As I said, when we open a new document, we have the option of color or default and the wrapper mode. Wrapper mode is a little bit different from the color mode. It allows us to open one only image, okay? But it's intended to be used for productions when we have one single image which is repeated over the space, okay? It's important to do so because Neostampa calculates the exact pixels from one repeat to the next one. So when we use the wrapper mode, it will make sure that from one repeat to the other one, there are no cuts, no gaps, no anything, okay? It will be completely perfect. Also, we can see here in the right side of the panel, all the wrapper options that we have, which are not available with the color mode. Things which are needed for continuous production, like changing the drop. So how one repeat and the next one can have a jump between them. We also can change the and the gap. Okay, I know I said that we can have we will make sure that the repeat is completely perfect between one and the other, but sometimes could be interesting to create gaps between copies, and it's also possible from here. And also we can center the position, say the exact width that we need, and the length, and set the length also of the report of the production. Okay. So I wanted to make clear this difference because it's important that when we print for production, we use the wrapper mode, and when we're willing to print samples or single with start and end images like samples, then we use the color mode, which also allows to open multiple files into the same layout. So one of the things that we've been talking also is the new engine that we have for PDF. And this new engine allows us to work with the spot colors. Spot colors are colors used in Illustrator, for example. Okay, when we talk about the spot colors, it's just a kind of colors that we can manage into Illustrator. For example, Illustrator also have installed Pantone libraries. All of the colors into the Pantone libraries in Illustrator are spot colors. So they are designed areas where we put a spot color, and that Neostampa will detect when we open them. Okay. The same happens, as I said before, that we have to share, okay, a fluorescent library which can be installed in Illustrator. This fluor colors library, they are also spot colors. So at the moment that we put any of them into a design, when we open it in Neostampa, Neostampa will detect them and know that this is a spot color and will allow us to make a color substitution. Here you have an example. Okay, this is a PDF file. It's a standard cyclist design. Okay, and see that this design has inside, we can see on the right that it has two colors. If we click in these colors, okay, we can see in the menu that we are into the special color configuration, and later on we click on one of these colors, and in this center menu, okay, we see the two colors that we have a spot that can be replaced. We can see the original color that it contains. Okay, it's the color that we see on screen, these RGB 255, etc. And here we are able to change it manually. Okay, and we can set a new color also in RGB, but even in device colors, for example, using fluorescent inks like I will do right now. You will see it in the next slide. So see, in this slide, what we did is take each one of the spot colors, make a color change. In this case, I used, for examples, you can see that I moved the color to direct device colors. So I applied only yellow fluor. I can tell that the second color is a magenta fluor, and even we can see on screen the results. So see that we change the color from one of the spot colors for a fluor yellow and the second one for a fluor magenta. We can see the results that we will have on screen, and this is exactly what we will be printing. So it's just for you to have in mind, again, that this PDF engine allows to work with PDF spot colors. Neostampa will recognize them, and we can make direct color substitutions inside Neostampa. Also, this option, very similar, because finally a spot color is, let's say, similar than a channel. We can do exactly the same with multi-channel files. Exactly the same means that if we open a multi-channel file in Neostampa, Neostampa will automatically recognize each one of the channels that the multi-channel file has inside. I know that most of you also comes from the traditional printing, as I said before. Probably you have lots of designs in multi-channel which can be used in digital without any modification. The only thing that we need is to open it in Neostampa, and we can easily make new colorways out of it. see that exactly the same in the menu. We have the multi-channel in the menu, and in the we have the list of channels in also in the main menu. If we click in one of them, we can see that all of them, and again, we can make direct color substitutions here and create new colorways on the fly directly in Neostampa. This option is completely new for Neostampa Delta. Okay, it's true that it's something that we didn't have in the previous Neostampa versions, but in Neostampa Delta, we included this option to take a multi-channel and make colorways directly in here. So as an example, okay, I made this modification. We can see channel by channel what was the original color and which is the color that I finally decided to make. We can choose the colors by inputting the RGB color values or direct to ink, as I said before, and we only need to go channel by channel and change each one of them to the desired color. And something that I would like to add, because how can we finally, we are, for example, with these multi-channel files, we are switching from one color to another RGB, but what options does Neostampa give us to find this color, to find these RGB values? Okay, it's true that we can go to Photoshop or whatever and have any color library of our own, where we have the RGB values and just input them here. But also Neostampa has an additional tool that can help you to find the color that we really want to replace it here. This is called the color charts. Okay, it's the button that I pressed here on the left side. Okay, which is marked here. And what allows us to do the color chart? It's possible to select an RGB variation of what we call variation of 1. Okay, so we can select an RGB from the color palette, any, or even we are able to measure. So if we have an I1 device, for example, from X-Rite, a spectral photometer, it's possible to take any sample, measure it, and Neostampa will recognize it, give you the RGB value. And also, if we are not convinced, it's possible to print a chart of variations of that color so we can visually decide which is the color that we prefer. How can we use later on the color that we decided in the chart? So we will print it. See, this is the result. So I selected the color or measured the color, any of both, it's correct. In Neostampa, we will print it and see if I make a zoom here on the left side, you will see that each one of the colors has the RGB value below it. Okay, so we can create a color chart, print it, select the exact color that we want, check the RGB value, input it into our multi-channel, for example, and we will know that when we print that, we will have exactly the color that we were looking for. Okay, so this is a good tool. When we have a multi-channel, we can make new colorways, and we can even make searches by measuring colors from existing samples or from our customer samples, directly measure it, search for the color that we are exactly looking for, check the RGB, and input inside the multi-channel file. And with that, we will have a perfect color matching that probably we are looking for. Well, I think that these are at least what I wanted to show, which is new, some of the new features and some of what we are already using until now from Neostampa, which I think that it's very interesting for any kind of market that you are working for, because I know that ColorJet work with direct printing, pigments, so I know pigments reactive, so I know that these tools for multi-channel can be very useful for you, available in Neostampa Delta, and also for the sublimation machines, the PDF with the fluorescent inks for all this kind of market. I knew that it's a new tool that can be very interesting for you too. I think that by now I reached the end of the presentation. Okay, as I said, we already saw all of that, starting from all the other software that Inedit has, which I would like you to give a test if you would like to. You can always contact me or ColorJet if you would like to make a test of any of the other softwares. Also for Neostampa Delta and all the new tools, you should know that you are available to make a test, also a 30-day trial. We offer always a 30-day trial for anyone who is thinking of testing any of our softwares, either the NeoTextile plugins for Photoshop, either the Neocatalog, or either the new version of Neostampa. You can test it and later on decide if it's something useful for you. Into our email. Thanks a lot again for your assistance. Hope that all of this has been useful for you. And I will be waiting for all your questions that you might have, and we will try to solve all of them. Thanks again.
Rakesh, thanks, Gerald. Rakesh,
Yes, yes, yes.
कुछ क्वेश्चन है आपको कस्टमर की तरफ से, तो पूछ लो.
Yes, yes, we have a question about the ink costing. What is the ink cost per meter, and how we will calculate according to the according the Neostampa. So, can you elaborate more about ink usage?
Sorry, I could not hear. It's for me the question. Sorry.
Rakesh, can you type?
Yeah. My question is now, can you elaborate more about the ink costing per meter and how many ml is consumed on 1 meter? If you take if you print one file, then how many ml is consumed? So can you explain this?
The consumption, you mean? Sorry, I cannot hear you very well.
Yes, about the consumption, and how can it be calculated from the software?
Yeah, sorry, I'm really sorry I didn't show any slide about the control center. I'm really sorry about that. Okay, but let me try. Maybe I can anyway show it. I will try. In the meantime, let me just explain that the software has Neostampa has a cost control, okay, which is called, well, the control center. This is a window which we can access directly from Neostampa, where we will see all the designs that we have been printing over time. Okay, all of them are stored in there. We can go one by one, and we can see, because finally Neostampa is the one which is sending the information, okay, directly to the machine. So we know exactly how many ink drops, okay, the machine will be using. This is how we calculate it. So if we know, if Neostampa knows the inks that we are, the exact pixels or ink drops that we are sending to the machine, we can also calculate the exact amount of ink that we are spending, okay? All of that, so we can go design by design that has been printed in all the history of the printer, okay, with Neostampa, and we can go one by one and check inside exactly how much of the ink has been used. Also, there's a generic window where we can see the consumption ink per ink and global, okay, within a time. So during the last month, the last year, so we can control all of this from the control center.
So I am asking that, can you show our customers then how we will calculate this? Can you show on our customer through any explanation, any presentation?
I'm trying to find it. In the meantime, I will show it. Okay, if I can. Just that.
Yeah,
if you want to continue, I will stop you and try to show it. Okay.
Okay.
I will try to prepare it. Sorry.
Okay. Sure. Thank you.
Well, in the meantime, let me, for example, there are in the Q&A window, okay, I see one question, probably it's from when I was talking about the ICC profiles. Someone asked between the difference between embedded and non-embedded ICC profile. Embedded just means that it's the profile that the image is using at that moment, okay? That's why I mentioned at that moment that when we convert to profile, we embed the profile. So embedded means that we are really changing. So the image moves to having one profile as RGB, for example, also asking for the standard profile. Okay, so the standard there are no standards. Okay, there are many profiles in the market. Every device has its own profile. But it's true that, for example, Photoshop, by default, as a standard, usually uses two, sRGB and Adobe RGB. As I said, they are very large profiles. They are monitor profiles. So lots of the colors that we have inside that we will see while we are working probably are out from the gamut, from the experience that our machine can give us. That's why it's important to use the printer profile in Photoshop so we can see the exact colors that the printer will print once we send that design, and we are able to see all of that on screen. Thanks for the question.
Yeah, I have another question actually, if you can explain more about on this. So we have a question about RIP and print simultaneously. So if we rip the file, can we simultaneously go for the printing? Because sometimes if we give rip and print command, the system and the printer is going to lower speed. So can you explain more about the topic, rip and print?
Really, I'm really sorry. I don't know if it's only me, but I couldn't hear you quite well. Can anyone repeat the question?
Yes, can you explain more about rip and print wizard? So whenever I will set the print, so simultaneously can we send it for print to the Inedit?
So you mean what happens when we send something to print through the RIP?
Rakesh, can you write down on the chat box?
Yeah, please. You can.
Yeah, I'm writing on the chat box. Actually, I have some network issue here. I'm writing on the chat box.
Thank you. Please don't hesitate to use the Q&A chat, okay, to send everything, and I will try to move one by one to answer all of them. And please, ColorJet team, if you see any question that you would like to answer, please go ahead, and I will leave it to you. No problem. I can see someone was asking any data on consumption per ink meter. Right now, I don't have an exact. It will change so much depending on the market or what you are using. So it's not the same to print onto paper in sublimation than exactly the same in a direct inkjet, in one fabric, another. Remember that what we mentioned is that having a profile, for example, for one fabric, what we do is to avoid that there's bleeding. So this means that we can have even different amounts of ink depending on the fabric. For example, a very thick fabric probably will have a lot of absorption, and we will need to put more ink than a thin fabric. So it really can be a very huge variation between the consumption of each one. The good thing is that we have an option to control and to see how much is spending for each one. But that's also the importance of making a calibration. Making a calibration allows us to use the exact ink to make the best colors that we need for each one of the substrates. So this is the main topic also that we were talking today. Sorry, someone also, I will just, okay, done. I will take out. Someone asked about the difference between absolute, perceptual, and saturate. Really, this is how, when this can give up to a full webinar. Okay, it's quite long to explain, but as I will try to just make a short answer. Okay, these are different ways to move from one profile to another. Okay, Neostampa uses Perceptual because Perceptual, it's how from the original design to the one that we are printing. Okay, so when we move from the original design to the printer profile, Perceptual is the one which is more accurate with the colors, okay, and keeps the gradients perfect. If we use the Saturate, it will just oversaturate the colors without maintaining the color correspondence. And Absolute, it's also a little bit different. So they are different ways of how to represent the colors from the original. As I said, Neostampa uses Perceptual by default because it's the one which ensures the gradients and the best color correspondence between the original and the printer profile. Someone said also, can we RIP and print simultaneously using Neostampa without using Print Manager? I don't know if what you mentioned about Print Manager, but it depends. So Neostampa finally just creates or prepares the file, makes the ripping, and sends it to the printer. Okay, that's all. In some cases, when we use rapport mode, okay, in rapport, this is one of the things that, thanks for the reminder, I didn't mention before. Okay, when the rapport mode is also important because when we print in rapport and we have a repetition of the exact same image, Neostampa just rips it once and then just send the repetitions directly to the machine. So it's much faster also the process of ripping than with the color mode that it would take everything as a full image. So rapport only rips a single file and then send it. Probably that's why you are thinking that it cannot rip and print simultaneously. Well, in rapport mode, it first rips the image and then it sends it to the printer. Okay. I am trying to.
Hey Gerard, this is Luca.
Yeah.
Hi man. Just to inform you, I have been answering to some questions in the QA chat box. You can find them in the answered box. And I think some of the attendees, they were mentioning that they have issues of color dullness on the final printed fabric. I tried to explain that it's all the issues related to process due to colors are usually related to the printing process. So it's not the software to blame, it's not the machine, it's not the pre-treatment, the post-treatment. We really need to analyze the situation and propose a solution just then. I don't know if you want to mention the fact that we can also visit the customers at their site, analyze with them the profiles, so on and so forth. I think it's going to be interesting for them to listen that we are in Barcelona, but we are really a global company. So if they have specific problems related to colors, we can travel to India and also other countries and help them to find a solution to their color problems. All right.
Yeah, thanks a lot for stepping in. And it's completely right. Okay. Sometimes it's about the usage that we give. And as Luca mentioned, we are a global company and we are used to visit and give solution, a customized solution for each one of our customers. Thank you.
Thank you, Gerard.
Anyone else want to have any doubt or question?
Yeah, actually, the things is now pending to elaborate about the ink costing. This is the most important part, which our customer is talking about, the ink usage per ml per meter. Means how many ml is required and how many ml is consumed for per meter printing. So can you please explain this thing via any wizard or via any presentation? That is most important aspect from our side.
Yeah, I'm really sorry I didn't prepare it. I will just show an example I just prepared. Okay, just for so you can see a little bit how it looks. to see how it
Yeah.
looks. Okay.
Yeah. Also, one thing, there is any requirement of internet connection when we calculate the ink costing?
Sorry again.
Is there any internet connection required when we calculate the ink costing?
No, it's completely local. I will show it. Okay. Give me just a second. I have it prepared. I'm sorry because I don't have a historical similar to a customer site that probably they have thousands of already printed. I have only one. I just printed the one that I had on the screen. So, but let me show it. At least you will know a little bit how it works. Okay. Okay. Can you see my screen right now? Yep. Yes. Okay. So you see it, okay, in your Stampa, as I said, we have the control center button. Okay. We just need to click here and it will open. As you said, it's local. You don't need any connection. Okay. This is done by Neostampa. And as you can see, I only have one printed file. Okay. I'm sorry, but it was empty. I don't have a production machine at home. So that's all that I have. Okay. But we should have here all the historic printouts that we've been doing, and we can access any of them. Okay, where we will have preview, all the information when it was printed. This is the historical of it, and also the cost. I didn't have set the price, okay, but if we set the price per milliliter, then we will see it here, and we can also see ink by ink how much has been used. Okay, this is how the costing in Neostampa works. So we can check or evaluate the costing here in Neostampa. Okay, I wanted to share this where we have the printing history and everything here in the control center. Okay, so here is where you can come and check the cost of each one of the jobs that you already printed. Okay, but if you try to, I cannot have, or I don't have a comparison between costing, okay, because I don't have access. But it's true that what I mentioned before is that it will depend on each one. The costing will depend on each one of the profiles. Remember that during the Calibration Wizard process, I mentioned that there are some options, like in the individual inks, that we can try to, finally, we are talking about digital printing, okay? This is different from traditional. In traditional, we had some screens, we put there, we create a color, we put it there, and it always spends the same, okay? In digital, it's a little bit different. To make a color, we need an amount of CMYK. And to do that exact color that we need, it will use that amount of ink. That's all. There's no, if we need that color, it will use that amount. Of course, there's a evaluation of the optimization of each one of the colors to make that one. Neostampa has a color engine, very good, and I can tell that the optimization of usage of each one of the inks that the machine has, it's pretty good, okay? But also, during the calibration, we have a couple of places where we can try to avoid using an ink which will not be used. Remember that when we make the individual ink cuts, we can set in the graph, we can see, so we're not going to lose any intensity, any color intensity, and we might be able to cut a little bit the inks and reduce or avoid using an excess of ink and reducing the costs at the same time. As mentioned, I don't have a comparison, but probably you can do that by yourself. Okay, finally you have a Neostampa, you can test with your profile, send some files, and see the costing in the cost control. So you could even do or see for each design what would be the cost even without printing. Okay, that's the idea.
So anyone has a question?
Yep, I can see a question, which is, which option is okay to use? Network USB, Windows Spooler. Neostampa has all of them, but finally, the connection depends on the machine, and probably this question for ColorJet will be much easier because they know how the connection with their machines, which is the best and which is what we can do better.
So
So anybody has a question now?
हिंदी में पूछो.
I think that's okay for a day.
किसी को कोई क्वेश्चन पूछना हो तो चैट बॉक्स में लिखें या फिर हम क्लोज करते हैं फिर.
No, I think nobody has a question.
Well, we have a couple of just, I will make a final questions, okay, that I see, which are interesting, okay. Someone also asked if vector files, because I always been talking about PDF, okay, and they are asking if AI from Illustrator, SVG, if they can be printed. Yes, they can be printed, okay. I always talk about PDF because it's a standard for vectors. That we think that which is the best, okay? But EPS, Neostampa supports all of that kind of vector files, okay? Same happens with TIFF files, JPG for plain colors. We allow almost all the format files in the market. Thank you.
So Gerard, thank you so much.
Yeah, one question. One customer is asking about, can we add the scanner with the Neostampa software? When we scan any design, can it come directly to the Neostampa software?
When we scan any design, you said?
Yes. We can directly take it on the Neostampa software.
When we scan a design, finally, it just gives us a photo, okay? When we scan anything, we digitalize it and it's possible to print it directly. Of course, finally, as I said, it supports any kind of format file, but probably they would need to treat it a little bit from a design software like Photoshop to make sure that it's perfect and that we can print it, okay? And also that the colors are the ones that we are expecting. All of that.
Because the Neostampa Delta also having some color library also there. So just we scan the any graphics and can directly change the colors from the Neostampa. Can it is possible?
No, like this is not possible. Well, let me try to explain it. Okay.
Yes,
when we scan an image, okay, what we get is a photo. Okay, so it's an image like a photo. All the color replacement that I've been showing was meant for vector files, which we have areas that selected or which we defined that we can change the colors, or a multi-channel, which we have each one of the channels that we can select the color and replace it. A photographic image, okay, doesn't have areas where we can make changes. One possibility is to open it in Photoshop and make a color separation, so later on we can change the colors into it, okay? And this is one of the possibilities that I explained, okay, with the Neotextile software. In Neotextile, we have plugins to make color separation, so later on we can make the replacements and change colors and do exactly what we need. Also, from a scan, probably the repeat will not be perfect because it's a scan. So that's why we have these tools inside Photoshop, where we can make the perfect repetition from the scanned file, and later on also separate colors and make new colors that later on can be printed, okay? All of that, it's the software Neotextile that we have that are plugins for Photoshop. Someone also asked about NeoMatch. I'm sorry because this webinar was meant for Neostampa. It's true that we have a different software which is called NeoMatch, which helps to calibrate and make the color matching for color libraries like Pantone. Okay, if you would like more information, you can please ask us. Okay, I left my email. You can ask also ColorJet, and we can talk and try to explain. I'm sorry I don't have the time today to explain all the softwares that we have. But thanks for the question.
Now I think there is no question. Thanks, Jared. Thanks very much for the presentation and all the information we have passed on. And thanks everyone for joining us. So that's it.
Thanks a lot for your time to all. Thanks, ColorJet team.
Is Jared was saying something?
No, it's fine. I think that we are good to finish. Thanks again a lot. Please feel free to contact all of us for any question, any further, or any test. If you would like to test the new version of Neostampa or any of our plugins, you can always contact us and we will be glad to give a demo for you. Thanks again for your time, and thanks a lot to all the ColorJet team for this opportunity.
Thanks a lot. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.